And welcome to Hero Power. I am your host, Avantes, and as always, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Zeroshio.
I'm here somewhere, I promise.
Yeah,
Where are you?
that's a good
Where are you,
question.
Zeroshio? Marco.
Polo?
Polo,
Marco.
polio.
Yeah, and Virsica.
Hey, I'm here too. But
That's
you
really
can't see
weird.
me. I am practicing my ninja skills.
You are doing a
You're
very good
doing
job
really
of
good. Pirates and Ninjas confirmed.
it. Finally,
He's waited for years to
Zeroshio
say
gets his
that.
wish.
Yes, I am. I'm throwing my hands up in the air like people can see me. We do want to apologize to our video people watching us on video. We are having Skype-related and
I really hate this new version of
XSplit
Skype.
updated
yeah,
related
yeah.
issues. So,
The new Skype has definitely not been kind to us.
no, it has not.
I have
So,
got to figure out a new way to do this before next week. And of course, I'll be gone all weekend, so that's going to be hard to do.
Yeah. So we're going to take this opportunity while we're trying to find ourselves in the screen and ooh, go, Stephen, my frame is moving. Ooh, feel like you're in an episode of Scooby-Doo. No, just take this opportunity to say hi to chat and say what's up, guys. Greetings, Inked. And see me, I can't pronounce your new name. Anjin-san?
just don't call him Angie.
I'm not doing
He
that.
doesn't like it when you call him Angie because Angie is not his name.
I can't imagine he would.
So don't call him Angie.
So you know that time like in between matches when the commentators are doing like filler commentating. That's
you
what you're
mean
getting
Talkstone?
right now.
Talkstone, like what they're doing right now while our show's going live.
Jeez, Ratio, you have to go poke the bear.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Poke
I poke the bear.
Go poke
So-
the bear.
While Levantes is doing his wonderful producer magic stuff, the new season happened today, to the first. I'll go ahead and start with my ladder week. We don't talk about it usually. I almost got Legend this past month. I've had a lot of real life things that affected my ability to get Legend, unfortunately, and I made it up to rank 1. Came short, but I'm really excited to play in Hearthstone, not just on the ladder, but in the competitive scene, because I was voted into the THL Ragnaros League All-Star team. And I will be playing on the All-Star team with our team next Thursday, the 9th, in the new Boomsday meta. So I'm really, really excited about that. It's a really interesting format. What we'll be doing is we'll have, I think it's a best of 7 or best of 9, maybe. I can't remember which it is, but all of our team members will be in chat together deciding our plays. So that's going to be really neat. I'm really
That's
excited
cool.
for that.
I think my pizza might be here. Give me just a sec.
All right, I think I got the video stuff worked out now. Maybe.
Do we want to redo the intro again?
Nah, that's all right.
Okay.
No, we're good. So we don't have any emails or iTunes reviews this week. So
Nope.
we do have a guest, Miss Sarah Franklin. Hello. She's sitting in.
She's sitting in for Virsica.
Yeah. So we should totally get her thoughts on the new Hearthstone expansion while she's
We
here.
really should. Other than my husband spending too much money.
Put the headset on. So, what are your thoughts on the new Hearthstone expansion?
Oh my gosh, it's the biggest thing that's come out since it started.
Right?
I know, I can't even believe it. I can't, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, see?
Uh-oh,
Mind
God,
blowing.
I gotta
Fill
go,
in.
guys, gotta go.
I love how she was on theme with
Right?
the set.
She was very on theme.
Oh gosh.
No, that is not Mrs. Orochio, Mike. That is Mrs. Virsica.
Yeah, that was Mrs. Virsica.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, let's just jump right into the news. So if you guys remember, gosh, 10 or 12 weeks ago, we talked about the Hearthstone Master System. And this is a new thing that they were bringing into 2018, where basically you're going to see players earning points for positions and tiers, and each tier grants additional benefits to the players. Well,
Yes.
we had, I guess, I don't know if it was the official first or if he was just recently announced as the first Hearthstone Master, but that was Hunter Ace.
As a matter of fact, not only was he the official first, they inflated the numbers this first season because they did not, this first year, because they did not expect anybody to get to it right away, and they're still flushing out the details for it. They didn't actually expect anybody to secure enough points to qualify for the Masters until like season 3, which this is the end of season 2, and he's already qualified. Now, he does get the benefit of playing in I think it's $1,000 prize pool tournament, but since he's the only person, they said they're going to hold off on that till they get a second member into the Masters, and then they will hopefully have something like a show match.
Yeah, but on top of that, he also gets bonuses for appearing at tournaments.
Yeah, I think it's $1,000 bonus, and then as he goes up, he gets as much as $2,500 bonus for each tournament that he appears at. This encourages players that already qualified for the World Championships to continue playing because obviously they're doing a good job and fans are going to want to watch them. Normally they could just say, well, I'm done. I don't have to play anymore. But obviously Blizzard wants them to play because they're fan favorites. So this is a really good system. I liked it when I first saw it. I didn't think anybody would qualify because it looked like the numbers were severely inflated. But Hunter Ace proved them wrong, and he just blew the numbers out of the water. He is definitely, by far, the player to beat this year. I'm excited to see him play more.
Yep, me too. So we're going to keep an eye on this as more players qualify for this new system because this is going to be an ongoing thing. This is built to roll over from year to year and really, like Zeroshio said, showcase the players' talent. So the other big thing that we wanted to talk about was today during the live stream, there was a blog post that got posted just kind of very stealthily that talked about the patch 12.0 update, including upcoming arena changes. Zeroshio, why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, those arena changes, we've obviously seen some cards that are going to be changed for like their types, card types, getting various things changed on that. That's more for constructed size. The arena balance changes are mainly going to be focused on the buckets and what type of drops you're going to see from your picks. Class cards used to be at 100% pick rate. You have twice as much chance to get class cards as you did neutral cards. Well, they dropped that down to 50% increase. So you'll be 50% more likely to see the class cards, thus highlighting some more of the neutral cards that aren't seeing as much play in Arena. Furthermore, weapons and spells both had a 75% drop, and they are changing that to a 50% drop, so that you will see less. Since they put the buckets in, they've added a lot of spells and weapons to those buckets, and you've seen an increasingly large number of spells and weapons in the arena. Thus, things that synergize or counter weapons and spells are becoming picked more, and they'd like to see a little better drop. They said that note that these bonuses multiply, which means that spells and weapons have a 125% increase in appearance rate instead of their 250% net increase. So that's been a drop. Rarity is become more of an issue. They said in their last blog, we also took a close look at a card appearance by rarity. Each class had a group of rare quality cards that showed up more often than desired, reducing the appearance bonuses for class, spell, and weapon cards helped the problem somewhat, but it didn't fully resolve it. So they're going to be offering some side-by-side drafts with rare and basic and common cards, so they can get picked more often. These are good changes. As somebody who plays a lot of Arena, especially when a new set comes out, I have been playing some Arena after each of the patches. It is getting better, but has a lot of room for growth. I'm excited for these changes because usually 2 or 3 weeks out from the new set, I hit Arena really hard as a way to recoup some more gold, as well as get some additional packs that I needed for extra cards. So I'm excited for this. Either one of you guys have anything to say about these Arena changes?
Well, I do like playing Arena. It's one of my favorite formats next to Wild, and I like that they are kind of leveling it out because, like you said, it was 100% on the class cards, 75% on the neutral. They're bringing them both in line with each other, and I think it's going to be a lot more fun. Like you said, we'll be able to see some of these cards that don't get played. I'm really kind of excited for these changes to go into effect. I'm going to probably spend a lot more time in Arena this expansion, and because I enjoy the mechs aspect, I'm really looking forward to playing around with the different types that you can build through the magnetizing system, and we'll just have to wait and see how it goes.
Virsica?
No, I'm not much of an Arena player, and just in light of everything, I didn't feel like it was something I really needed to read that much into. So I'll probably wait and see how it shakes out. It may be something that later on, later on maybe I come back and take another look at later. But right now, I feel like that is I feel like that's a tilt button. So I'm probably going to avoid it. I mean, it's something that they've struggled with from the beginning, and that is equalizing what you get. Like, my biggest complaint with Arena is that I come in to play people with much better card variety than I got, and like that tilts me every time, especially since I since I paid for it. It'd be different if it was a free mode, but when you're paying to play it, it just feels bad when you run up against somebody with 3 legendaries and you didn't even get a chance to draft one.
Yeah, and I will say on that note, that is a concern I had in the past, and I stopped playing Arena for a while. But whenever they make changes, I jump in. That has gotten better. And at first they resolved it by just making legendaries and certain types of cards draftable more, and that made it worse in my opinion, because now you're flooded with everybody having OP decks. But now with these balance changes and the pick rates kind of getting better in line and becoming more balanced, I'm finding less opponents that just got much better picks than me. I mean, obviously there's going to be sometimes, because that is the RNG in any limited format, regardless of what game you're in. Even if it's Magic the Gathering, you still have that RNG. But in Hearthstone, it's gotten better. Obviously not going to tell you should play it, that it's 100% what you would want now, but maybe one time give it a try and see if it's changed for the better for you.
All right, so with that said, the other thing that happened today, when we talked about it briefly, was we got the final Boomsday Reveal stream with Mike Donay and Day9. This was the stream where they played a bunch of games on stream against Chalky. And we talked about Chalky leaving the professional arena to join the design team. And, they said Chalky built all of these decks. So,
Yep.
go back, rewatch it, take notes, see what Chalky's doing, because Chalky's no slouch. And that was evident when he won most all of the games on stream today. Even when Day 9 had a chance to win one, he just wanted to see more cards, and Chalky was just like, hit that pro button and kill you next turn.
Now, this excites me mainly. Obviously, we saw some new cards. There was good banter with Day 9 and Mike Danae. Obviously, not Ben Brode. He'll be missed, but Mike Danae did a good enough job. But what this excites me for is they said Chalky made these decks, and usually the person or team that makes these type of decks is also responsible for making test decks as well as the recipe decks. So if Chalky and the likes of Kit Kats had any kind of inclination or idea on the recipe decks, then I'm really excited, because the recipe decks are always what I test out, and will test out with one of the new cards that's coming out. We'll talk about more later when we do our review today.
And dollars to donuts, their aggro decks. Chalky man.
Well, I mean, probably. Now, some of the decks he played today were not clear aggro decks. They were very mid-rangey, combo-centric decks. And while he is known for his aggro, he's also very good and known for combo decks. It's lesser known, but he has done well with developing some combo decks in the meta, which can tend to be a little slower style decks. So I'm excited to see what they have in store for us with the recipe decks.
Yeah, me too. Especially with the card you were just discussing and it being in the meta coming soon. So that brings us to the other bit of news. This is a reminder that this weekend is the Boomsday pre-release parties. They are scattered across the U.S. and the world, actually. There's 4 or 5 events in France, and just a bunch of celebrations of the new Hearthstone expansion this weekend. You will be able to open your packs early on those days, but you will not be able to play with your cards again until the release date.
Well, that's not entirely true. You will not be able to play with it in the play mode.
Right.
However, you will be able to play in the Fireside Brawl, which is pre-made decks containing new cards, as well as a secondary brawl for that Fireside, which will allow you to make decks and play other people that are at the event.
Those cards will not be available again until the release.
That's correct.
Which is what I was saying. So then you also have this week's Tavern Brawl, which I have not had a chance to participate in yet, which is Valera's Bag of Burgled Spells. So this is not a new Tavern Brawl.
We're getting ready for a new set, so it's
usually
Repeat City.
Yeah, so
it's RNG Fest.
Valera has stolen spells from every class and filled your deck with them. Each of those spells will summon a random minion of the same cost when played. So, this is a straight, easy chance to go get your pack and get out. Some people really enjoy this. So
it took me 5 games to win one.
Wow.
Fortunately, I had the 65 damage to an opponent, to a hero quest, so I didn't mind so much. One thing I want to touch on before we move on to the next bit of news is going back to the pre-release parties. There will be some select streamers celebrating pre-release on Twitch. So you'll be seeing some players at the pre-releases, or they've been designated by Blizzard to stream some of the content. As well as myself, I'm going to be going to a pre-release event on the 5th, which is Sunday down in Georgia. I'm hoping to stream if the bandwidth will allow. If not, I'll get a recording up of my pack openings. Now, before we gloss over that weekend, are you doing anything that weekend, Avantes?
Nope, not a thing.
Not a thing. Okay.
No.
Moving on.
No, I will be out of town that weekend, unfortunately, so I'm not going to be able to participate in any of the pre-release parties or events.
No. So sad for
'cause
you.
I'm going to be up in Indianapolis at Gen Con, helping to bring in the Boomsday Project there at the convention with some friends. You guys may know Root from the Innkeeper podcast and Sam Benson, who we've had on this show in the past. We're going to be up there doing some special events, having some I wouldn't want to really say like party games, but each class in this expansion is based around a science. And so we've broken that out, and we're going to have basically like mini classes, like university style classes, where you have to complete an objective to win a prize. You complete so many objectives, you get a bigger prize, and so on and so forth. So there'll be 9 subjects that you can participate in, and as you complete those, you can win swag. So if you're at Gen Con, come to Hall C and find the Blizzard booth. It'll be the one that looks like a tavern, and we'll have some laptops set up. We'll have some Hearthstone games going. Come holler at me and get some free swag.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm excited for you and jealous at the same time. But if you are in Indianapolis, go and harass Avantis for me because I won't be able to.
I do also want to point out that if you are not able to attend a pre-release party, Blizzard is streaming a pre-release party hosted by Frodan and Cora and a couple of the others. They are actually inviting a bunch of streamers there on to that one, including people like Regis Kilbin will be on the official Blizzard stream pre-release party. So you can watch that pre-release live on Twitch if you're unable to attend.
And links to that blog are in our show notes.
Yes. So, all right. Well, I think that brings us to the last topic of our news and discussion this week, and I believe Virsica has something he wants to say.
Oh, so you're gonna make me tell my own news?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So, effective, I guess this show. So after this show, I will be taking a step away from Hero Power and Hearthstone. We are lucky that Man at Arms is going to step up and fill my spot. I'm not as excited about this set as my co-host, and I need to take some time to get situated and adjusted to my new career. And I've got some projects on the back burners that either need my attention or they need to be let go. So right now, there's not enough hours in the day to do the things that I need to get done and still prep for the show in the way that I really need to give these guys the support they need from me and to give our viewing audience the deck analysis and so on and so forth. That it's, I guess, sort of been it's been my job sort of in the last few months to really put that time in and make sure that what we're playing is realistic and fun and effective. So, and yes, as Mrs. Virsica says in chat, I need to clean my office as well. But yeah, so this is this is one of those things that's been hard for me. It's been hard for me to come to this decision. So right now the plan is about 10 weeks. After 10 weeks, we'll reevaluate and I would like to come back. But right now, that's the plan. So, when next week, when Matt at Arms steps up to the plate to come in and to try and keep Avantes and Zeroshio in line.
Good luck.
Give him a big shout out and give him a lot of support, and hopefully he'll be able to smack these guys around and keep them on task.
Yeah, so we are going to miss you, but we know you'll be back. Got to get adjusted to this new career. We knew, we've talked about this and knew it was coming, and talked about the different ways we could possibly handle this. You've been here since the beginning. You're helped us get this whole thing started. So we look forward to the day when you can return. But until then, we'll keep this thing afloat, and the show must go on.
And this is from the live show. So,
Correct.
Like I said, I've got a couple of projects that are going on in the background that need my attention, and then I'm still gonna I've got a folder full of half-written articles for the website that I just never got finished. So I'm gonna go through and reevaluate those and see if any of those are still relevant. Finish them up, maybe write some new ones. I'll still be active on Discord. I'll still be, I'll catch the show when I can. But like right now, I'm not even guaranteed that, I can be here Wednesday when we go live. So it's kind of one of those things where, at least for the next 10 weeks, are pretty critical, and I need to make sure that it's got my attention and that it's the priority. So.
Okay. Well, we're here for you if you need anything. So all you got to do is ask. And like I said, we look forward to when you can return full time. But in the meantime, Zeroshio, myself, and Matt at Arms will keep this train rolling. We are replacing one mad scientist for another. We're going to have Matt at Arms come in and help us build some crazy decks and evaluate some cards. So should still be fun.
And I will make it my personal goal to make sure that Matt at Arms keeps up your head shake quota with as many bad jokes and puns as I possibly can muster.
That's a lot.
For battle.
Oh God.
I got him.
All right.
So enough of that stuff. Let's get into what everyone tuned into the show for tonight anyway. Let's get into those card reviews.
So just so we're aware for our listeners, we are doing a full audio show this week. We will not have a play portion this week. We are going to go right into some card reviews. We probably won't have time for all the cards. There's plenty of other shows doing that. We're going to highlight a lot of the class cards and cards we're excited for.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to go down class by class. So let's get this train rolling. Get ready for the crazy eating itself effect until I can get the cards pulled up. So, okay. Anyway.
Inception.
First up, so we are going to talk about both legendaries out of every class, and then we'll touch on a couple of cards that we're kind of excited about. So, starting with the Druid class, Floop's Glorious Gloop. This is the legendary spell, 1 mana. Whenever a minion dies this turn, gain 1 mana crystal this turn only. So basically, you can churn your minions into mana just by trading them in. This spell, I don't feel like this legendary spell is as strong as some of the others, which is weird, which is a weird feeling coming from the feeling that Druid is such a strong class right now.
Yeah, and I would agree with you there. Druid right now has a bit of an identity crisis. Obviously, it's very powerful because it houses right now 3 of the most powerful decks in the meta in Token Druid, Malygos Druid, and taunt druid, as well as having other varieties of druid that are competitive and do well as well. Even a Togwaggle druid is still competitive. These cards as a whole kind of split the focus, and it makes me wonder if it's going to be very strong, as strong as everybody thinks. Maybe it'll bring it down to the level of the other classes. This spell specifically focuses more on a token-based druid, and as we'll do a couple other cards. I'm not really excited for it. I'm not excited to play druid at all, though, just because it doesn't seem to be implementing anything new.
So I'm really waiting to see how this card works in play, because it doesn't say gain an empty mana crystal.
No.
And I think that's where the power is going to lie, is the ability to control the board through trades, maybe even casting something with a rush mechanic or something along those lines, trading out and then coming back and being able to establish board control after the trades through the mana that you gained in the gloop. So I don't think it's a. I think it's a power play turn. It's a momentum swing turn, but I think timing is going to be very important. Mm-hmm. And the current Druid decks, I feel like you can make mistakes in timing and strategy and still come out on top. I think this is a card that people are going to want to use, but I think it's going to take a lot of patience to figure out the right time to use it. But when you figure that out and when you hit this right, I think this is a ridiculously powered card for 1 mana.
Yeah, it was clarified that the mana crystals will be full mana crystals, can be used. It's also important to note it's whenever a minion dies this turn. So it can be your opponent's minions. You can bait them into playing a lot of minions and then play some removal, as well as, heck, even against an aggro-based deck, you can play something like Primordial Drake, which is 8 mana, does 2 damage to all the minions on the board, which could get you a bunch of mana back. So you play this, then Primordial Drake, and all of a sudden you could have 6, 7, up to 10 mana, maybe even, to play with additionally that turn on top of the Primordial Drake. It can be powerful, but I do think a lot of the cards that are in Druid this set take some really set up plays, as well as they telegraph what you're doing significantly.
Yeah. So we need to go ahead and move on. We've got a lot of cards to get through.
But this is one of the more powerful cards that's gotten a lot of attention. So I did want to make one more statement about it that I feel like might be overlooked. This is an effect that persists through the entire turn.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not something that you just cast after a bunch of minions dies. It's not something that you cast before you run a bunch of minions in. You can manipulate this through your entire turn.
Yeah,
so
but you do have
sets of casting, so on and so forth. So,
as pointed out today during the stream, you do need to play it before any minions die.
Right.
So you can't trade minions and then play it. So
you play it in anticipation of what you're doing. So.
Yeah. All right. So the other Druid legendary, and one of the most talked about cards out of this set so far, is Phlebidnus Floop. It's a 4 mana 3/4. It says, while in your hand, this is a 3/4 copy of the last minion you played. So, this card is very flexible, and if you've got really strong battle cry minions or rush minion or a choose one minion that you want to copy, you're looking at having a 4 mana copy of that card that is also a 3/4. So this is, I feel like, going to see a lot of play moving into the new meta. How about you guys?
Well, you can also play a minion the turn previous, and it will still copy that one. It doesn't have to be in the same turn. So you could play Malygos, and then the next turn play Phlebidnus Floop, and it comes out as a 4 mana 3/4 Malygos, basically. But I honestly think this is the most overrated card in the set. I have already identified quite a few ways to counter this card. It takes too much telegraphing and too much setup. And if we've learned anything about combo centric decks in the past, if you have to telegraph your combo, you can be countered and people can find a way to beat you. So obviously a snipe or well-placed explosive runes, as well as the new project card in Warlock will counter this easily.
Virsica, anything you want to add about this card before we move on?
See, I agree with Zerotio in the sense that I think it can be countered easily, but I think it's going to see a lot of play because I think Tempo Mage is going to be forced out, and I don't know that Snipe is going to be prevalent enough in Hunter to make a significant impact. But I'm concerned that the Druid that I can see this going in will be too slow for the meta that I think is going to come around. I think people will still try to make it work. I don't think it's a bad card by any stretch of the imagination. And 3-4 for 4, it's not bad stats, but yeah. I don't think it's going to be falling prey to many of the decks that we see coming now.
Right.
Except for maybe Heal Zoo.
We have a question in chat. Apex Predator asks, can you cast this for 0 if you're playing it after an Arcane Tyrant? And I believe it only copies the abilities on the card. I don't believe it copies the casting cost. Like Zerotio said, like the turn before, if you played Malygos for 9, next turn you would play this, it would only cost 4. It wouldn't cost 9.
Well,
so I think if you play an Arcane Tyrant for 0, this is still going to cost 4.
Well, I think he might be right, because if you play an Arcane Tyrant for 0, it will copy its text, and the text specifically states that it reduces the cost of 0 if you cast a spell that turn. So
you'd
I
have
think
to
it
cast
will
another.
You'd have to
but
cast
you
another
would have
spell
to cast
if you play it the
another
turn
spell.
after. But if,
Not-
no, you're saying if you play it, so you're saying you play a 5 mana cost spell. So let's just say you play Nourish, then you play Arcane Tyrant, then you should be able to play Fablidness Floop as a 3/4 0 mana cost at that time.
I believe so, because it said this turn. It says this turn on Arcane Tyrant, because I have cast a 5 mana spell, then I cast another spell that drew me cards after that 5 mana spell, and it drew me a 0 cost Arcane Tyrant. So if it works like it should, it is worded, then it should be 0 cost. But science, we'll test that out. That'll be on a list of things to test out when the new set comes out.
Okay. All right.
Again, is a 0 mana 3/4 really worth it? I don't know.
All right. So moving on to Hunter, we have Flarks.
Can we just skip this class?
No. This is my favorite class out of the entire set. I love all the cards.
First up, we have the legendary spell Flarks Boomzooka. It's an 8 mana. Summon 3 minions from your deck. They attack enemy minions, then die.
This card alone empowers at least 2, maybe 3 different deck ideas I'm thinking of. It goes in a decent recruit hunter. It can be used in maybe a spiteful style hunter. It can be used in a death rattle hunter / mech hunter. I'm excited for all the cards on Hunter. Hunter seems to be getting a slight identity change, and I like it.
This is by far my favorite art.
Yep.
In the set. It's
Who a rhino on a rocket. Who would have
tied
thunk?
to a rocket. Yes. So, all right. Zerotio, Virsica, do you want to just skip this?
No, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be really good if it makes it to turn 8.
Okay. All right. Then the other legendary is Flark himself, Boommaster Flark. 7 mana, 5/5, battle cry, summon 4/0/2 goblin bombs.
So this card here, the Boommaster Flark itself was good. there are a lot of cards in this set that summon 0/2 Goblin Bombs, and they are actually cards. They're 0/2, one. I think they're 1 mana 0/2 minions that have a death rattle to do 2 damage to the enemy hero. And a lot of the cards summon these bombs, and I think a lot of your 100 decks will be focused around getting these bombs on the board and activating them. I'm excited for Hunter, period. I think they're going to be the new mech class. Obviously, Paladin and Warrior are also heavy in mechs, but I think this will be the most used. For the 10 cards that came out of this set, I think Hunter is the strongest and synergize the best with each other.
Okay. Virsica, anything you want to add before we move on?
No, I mean, I think Goblin Bombs, I don't.
They're leper gnomes.
I'm not a fan. So I think Bomb Toss is going to see a lot of play in Hunters too, simply because it creates a bomb. I think don't overlook Venomizer. I think Venomizer will make its way into a lot of decks, and then the Necro Mechanic I think will probably work its way into. Inevitably, Aggro Hunter is going to be Mech Aggro Hunter is where it's going to end up being. But in the meantime, people are going to try to get mid-range Hunter to work, and Necro Mechanic will be in there.
Yeah,
and I think with the mechanics of the face value with the damage, it might seem as if aggro is going to be a big thing. But seeing the costs of these cards, tell me you're really not going to be able to pull a lot of this big damage till turns 5 or 6.
right.
If you can pull it off by then at all.
Yeah, and I think Matt at Arms in chat says it best when he says, "Boommaster Flark is just flarking fun."
Yeah, I'm excited.
All right, moving on to Mage. That was an almost head shake.
No, it's like so here's my big problem. It's like Dr. Boom only had 2 of those boom pots, and they were a royal pain in the butt. I always felt like that card was just too much value for what it gave. That card literally has double that value, and I don't like it.
Well,
I think it's bad for Hearthstone. Like I think the
but
concept
see, Dr.
itself
Boom's boom
shows
bots could attack. These
Right.
have a 0 attack, so they can attack.
But I mean, it's still so you're forced with either clearing them or. And I mean, how many different ways is there to give something an attack these days? I mean, it's so easy to do that I just don't. I don't like. Like I said, I feel like this shows a fundamental lack of understanding in how to balance the game. So.
Yeah, these boom bots only go face where the others had the opportunity to attack other minions. So
Yeah.
you know, it's like you said, it's only face. So, all right. So the Mage Legendary, and also might I add, coolest reveal video of the entire set is
Yes.
Yeah, that video was pretty awesome.
yeah.
So I mean, if you're listening to the audio show and you've not seen the reveal video for Luna's Pocket Galaxy, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, go check it out. So
The
anyway,
combo is disgusting. Like, it should make you sick to your stomach. But you know, watching the video is fun.
Luna's Pocket Galaxy is a 7 mana. Change the cost of minions in your deck to 1.
Yep.
This is
So-
just crazy to me.
So far, if you're going to try and get a class to the end of their deck, Mage should probably be there, because once this combo starts, I mean, once you get the pieces for it, the game's just over. It's like the OTK Mage with the quest, only better.
And I thought I hated Murloc Mage before. This is going to make Murloc Mage stupid.
Well,
It's Fred's fault.
I know it's Fritz. It's always Fritz's fault.
I think this makes Big Spell Mage. I think this makes Big Spell Mage viable in a faster meta. You can now focus more on control, knowing that you've got an end game that you're going to get to.
You don't have that many minions in Big Spell Mage, and this only reduces the cost of minions in the deck by.
But you only need to reduce the cost of 2 minions. You only have to reduce the cost of Antonidas and Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Oh, you're not talking about Big Spell Mage. You're talking about Combo Mage.
Well, I'm talking about you can now turn Big Spell Mage into Combo Mage. You can combine the 2 decks and create one Big Spell Mage, or I'm talking about Big Spell Mage in the sense that you want to get armor to survive. It's a control mage, but whatever you want to call it.
I didn't even think about Combo Mage implications with this.
Yeah,
and Stargazer. Now, I will say this before we get into Stargazer Luna, which we'll get into next. These 2 cards, the spell and the class minion, have the best synergy of any class in the set, in my opinion.
I can agree with that.
Do we want to go over Stargazer Luna so we can allude to that?
Yeah, so she is a 3-mana, 2/4. After you play the rightmost card in your hand, draw a card. So every time you draw a card, that will become the rightmost card in your hand. If it's a 1-mana minion, you play it, you draw another card. And we'd already said how we thought Stargazer Luna was going to be good in Murloc Mage. Now, if all your Murlocs are 1, you're just cycling through and filling the board.
Yeah, see, so I guess my thing with Murloc Mage is already pretty fast. Like, if you've not gotten your opponent dead really by turn 7 or 8, or at least within range, then they're probably controlling you pretty well. So,
I mean, this may bring about an elemental mage. A lot of the cards in this set are focusing on the spell damage aspect. I think that kind of focus on this class is going to be the most underused class focus for Boomsday, and that you're going to see Stargazer Luna and the Pocket Galaxy used the most, and the rest of the cards might not see any play at all.
Yeah.
I don't know. Research Project's pretty good.
Maybe.
And Shooting Star is going to be essential for keeping Odd Paladin at bay while you're getting to your end game.
I don't see it much better than Explosive Nova. Is it what is it? Arcane Nova? Yeah, I see it just. I mean, 1 mana less, and you do 1 damage to the entire board. So I don't think Shooting Star's that great. It's no better than Arcane Explosion. That's the word. Arcane Explosion to me is better.
Yeah, but 1 Sorcerer's Apprentice and it's free.
Yeah.
Fair. That's fair.
All right, so let's move on to the next class, which is Paladin. I know Zeroshio's really excited about this. So the first is we're going to talk about the legendary spell first, which is Kangor's Endless Army. 7 mana, resurrect 3 friendly mechs. They keep any magnetic upgrades. So
yeah, that's pretty sick because the when you go back and look at a lot of the magnetic minions, especially the ones in the class specific one, Noeo module and Glowtron. Now Glowtron's not so much he has magnetic, but he's just a 1/3. He'll be able to attach to more powerful minions that you'll be able to bring back. And Neutral has a lot of really, really good mechs. So the Kangor's Endless Army is going to be really strong. I think it's kind of probably like the middle ground, maybe the 3rd most powerful legendary spell out of the set. but it's really good, and it's going to make a true mid-range paladin viable. Mid-range mech is going to be really good.
Okay, and then the legendary minion for Paladin is Crystal Smith Kangor. He's a 2 mana, 1/2 with Divine Shield, Life Steal, and all of your healing is doubled. So now, Zeroshio, I know you had quite a bit to say about this card in our Discord, and it wasn't exactly positive. Why don't you give us your thoughts?
Well, here's the thing: is Control Paladin has been in a rough spot since N'Zoth has left the meta. There really hasn't been any good end game to utilize with Control Paladin, and your healing in there tends to be kind of bursty healing and over little bursts throughout the game or end game, and not consistent healing. Also, you spend a lot of time because of taunts and various other abilities at full health. So a lot of times you're not going to get any benefit from healing for double, especially when Lay of Hands already heals for 18. If you have to Lay of Hands to heal for 16, it already heals for 8. If you have to Lay of Hands to heal for 16, then you are probably losing the game anyways. And this 2 mana 1/2 is probably not going to help you win. I do like where Hunter is. I'm sorry, not Hunter, but Paladin is going this set. I just am not a fan of Crystal Smith Kangor, and I really wish they'd stop printing bad Paladin legendaries. I understand that we have some really strong ones in the form of Tyrion and Tareem specifically, those two. But just because we have 2 good ones doesn't mean all of our other class legendaries have to be bad. Give us some middle range Paladin legendaries that, they're just good for mid-range decks. They're just solid mid-range minions. I did like who's the one with the cannon is Burn Bristle, Wicker Frame Burn Bristle. He was a good
Burn Bristle, yeah.
He was a good legendary. I'd like that caliber legendaries in the future.
So I'm looking at this guy and I see Blessing of Might on him, and that means I get 8 health. I see Blessing
if you can
on
attack
him, and no, because they gotta get rid of him, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it's on them to get rid of him.
He doesn't get Black Knighted. He's gonna have to get silenced, and then he's become a silence target at that point, which means one of your other minions aren't gonna get silenced. Chances are, if you're running Blessing of Might, you're probably running Blessing of Kings. I mean, goodness gracious, ring the bells on him. I mean, I can see where turn 6, that's him and 2 ring the bells, so that puts him
makes him a 3/4. No,
I hope I'm wrong.
That's a 3/8 at that point.
I really want to be wrong about
it.
This
heals
card.
for 6.
Yep.
And then they got to get through a Divine Shield.
Yep.
And then that's going to be that you get it again, so that's another 6. And then the minion that finishes it off is going to be another 6. So that'd be 18 just if he survives for the round before you ring the bells on it. I think he's got potential.
And I get it, and I hope I'm wrong, and I hope you're right, because I want him to be good. I want him to have potential. But I was told Lanessa had potential. I was told that both Bolvars had potential, and none of those panned out.
Well, they were also introduced in really fast metas. This is going to be a really fast meta, so it's going to be, if the meta turns out to be slow, or even if the meta, even if the meta ends up being mid-range, I think he'll have a place. And I mean, he comes off of Call to Arms, so
he does come off a Call to Arms. Yeah.
Yep. All right, so let's move on.
And think of him in a, however that heal is applied. Think about him with Light Warden.
Don't go on yet. There's one card I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
They gave us another egg. The Mechano Egg, 5 mana, 0/5 mech. Death Rattle, summon an 8/8 Robosaur, which is also a mech. This is awesome. I'm super excited.
You already thinking just
Paladin.
flipping the power and toughness and just
That's
summoning your
right.
mech?
That's right. I tell you, Breakfast Paladin is going to return.
All
Devil
right.
Sword, Mechano Eggs. Yeah.
All right. So moving on to Priest. Our legendary spell here is Zarek's Cloning Gallery. It's a 9 mana. Summon a 1/1 copy of each minion in your deck. So do we see? I mean, I know we've not had a chance to play with this yet, but how are we seeing this card best utilized?
So I heard it best. A few other podcasters and streamers have mentioned this is just kind of slightly better Cairn Bloodhoof. Just because it's 6 mana 5/5, except you have to invest something in it. So some people say it's actually a slightly worse. I do find it weird that Priest is focusing on buffs.
Hold on. Are we talking about the cloning chamber, or are we talking about the cloner?
The cloner.
No,
I thought we were talking
we
about the
haven't talked
cloning
about
chamber.
the cloning.
Oh.
We're talking about the cloning gallery.
Oh, the cloning gallery. I'm sorry. The summon a 1/1 copy of each of your minion. I think it's going to be strong, but it is 9 mana, so it's going to be really late. It'll be great in a quest Priest, but by that turn 9, you kind of want to finish that quest already. So I'm not sure. I'm kind of mixed on Priest as a whole, because Priest is doing this whole buff copy thing where Paladin was trying to be pushed, and now Paladin's being pushed towards healing. So I'm not sure what to think about Priest. It looks like it could be strong, but we'll just have to see.
All right, so now let's talk about Zarek, Master Cloner. 6 mana, 5/5, Death Rattle. If you've cast any spells on this minion, resummon it.
There we go.
Now you can go into your spiel.
I said my piece, that it's like a kind of a worse Cairn that you have to invest something in. I'm sure people will find shenanigans with this. I don't know if it'll be in a strong deck. I'm really not sold on the whole cloning aspect of Priest. I think you'll have some good trolled-in videos out of it, but I don't think overall it's going to be that strong.
Yeah, I don't care for either one of them. I think the cloning chamber is way too slow for what it does, and I think that Zarek is going to be a lot like Lady in White. I think the ability is cool. I think the card art is cool, but in the end, setting it up is just too slow. And with as much silence as running around right now, and silence is going to be here to stay now. If you thought you had a lot of silence before this set comes out, you're probably going to be running into twice as much silence in the next one, or once the set releases. So I don't see this ever really getting to be played the way that people want it to.
And it's important to note, with all the cards came out, I have seen no silence type effects in this set.
That is true. Now, before we move on, I want to talk about what I think is one of the best cards in this set, and that is Extra Arms.
Okay.
3 mana, +2/+2 to a minion, and you also get an additional card in your hand called More Arms, which is the same thing, 3 mana, +2/+2 to a minion.
But the More Arms doesn't give you another
correct
card.
Yeah. You get 2 cards out of this card. So it's 6 mana for +4/+4 across 2 cards. Really strong. Again, they're focusing more on buffs, which I think is weird. Another card I wanted to point out was Test Subject. He's a 1 mana 0/2 minion. Death Rattle, return any spells you cast on this minion to your hand. This is wasn't there a Vile Fin kind card or some? There is a Paladin card that did this. It's kind of weird that they're doing a lot of things they tried to work in Paladin that failed over in Priest, and then they're loading Paladin up with more heal centric stuff. So
I am kind of confused by the identity crisis that Paladin and Priest are going into. I think Paladin's getting the better end of it, but we'll just have to see if anybody makes any viable Priest decks.
Welcome to Shaman's world. I think Shaman lives in a state of almost constant identity crisis.
I would agree with you.
All right, well, let's talk. We'll get to Shaman, but first, let's talk about Rogue. So we've already seen the Rogue legendary spell. It was one of the very first cards released. That is Myra's Unstable Element. 5 mana, draw the rest of your deck. So, there's been a lot of talk about this card.
So we're talking about Myra Rotspring, right? No, just kidding. The Myra, everybody's had a lot of time to think about this card. There has been tons of ideas, and every time a new Rogue card has come out, they've thought, oh, wow, Myra's Unstable Element. Myra's Unstable Element. Oh, what about with Myra's Unstable Element? And Rogue so far really makes me happy to see where Rogue's at. I don't know how viable it's going to be, but if you want to just have shenanigans in your games, play Rogue and play Myra's Unstable Element.
All right, and then the legendary minion is Myra Rotspring. She is a 5 mana 4/2 battle cry. Discover a death rattle minion. Also gain its death rattle. So you'll get to discover a death rattle minion when she comes into play, and then her battle cry changes to become the death rattle of the minion you just found, or that you just discovered.
Yeah, and mind you, it's discover a death rattle minion, so it's only going to give you neutral and rogue minions from your discover choices. In Wild, there are a lot of really strong rogue minions with death rattle. It's going to be really strong in Wild.
Yeah, this is a wild card. I don't know that it will make it into any viable rogue deck with the current card set in Standard. But I think in Wild, I think this card is very powerful.
I have already marked this card as one to craft if I don't open it because of how much Wild I play.
Yeah.
Now, one other card I would definitely want to mention, especially with the Myra legendary spell as in this set, is Academic Espionage. It's a 4 mana epic spell. Shuffle 10 cards from your opponent's class into your deck. They cost 1.
So much fun.
Yeah, so imagine using Myra's Unstable Element to draw the remainder of your deck or a majority of it and try to get those spiders to pop out. And then refill your deck with 10 cards with Academic Espionage. And maybe a second one if you happen to draw it or have it in your hand. Therefore, giving you so you're not in fatigue. And now it's like you thought that the quest rogue was bad, having all these 1 mana 4/4s. Or it used to be 5/5s, now 4/4s. Well, now you're just going to have a bunch of big minions and all kinds of stuff from your opponent's class cards, which are usually stronger than neutral cards, all for 1 mana. I mean, let's just hope you're not playing Druid and don't get Tyrantus.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so moving on to Shaman.
Here we go.
Yeah, our legendary spell is the Stormbringer. 7 mana, transform your minions into random legendary minions.
Garbage.
Go ahead, Virsica.
Total and complete garbage. Should never make it into a Shaman deck. Not if you want to be competitive.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You could turn your board of totems into a board full of whiz-bang the Wonderfuls.
You could turn your board of totems into a board full of Nat Pagels.
That's true, too. And
It's the same garbage they've been pushing down Shaman's throats forever. It's actually one of the things I think that made me the angriest about the set was that once again Shaman gets something legendary when everyone else gets these great legendary spells and Shaman gets a random one. It's like Rune Spear was I mean, I can't believe it actually made it into some of the pros decks, but I think even then they ended up taking it out because it just wasn't getting the value. This, if you're counting on this to win, then I don't know what you're thinking. It's bad. This is a bad card, and Shaman got a bad legendary weapon, and I mean once you took Evolve out, when you look at Thrall as a Death Knight, it's really not that great compared to almost all the other Death Knights. So even then, at least it wasn't random. It was kind of random actually because you randomly evolve it into what you're getting. So it's like if you're Shaman, you either I wish they would spread the randomness around to the other classes. To me, it's very frustrating to be someone who likes the shaman lore and likes like what a shaman brings to Warcraft as a whole, and then with it being like my favorite class in WoW, and it was the class I was the most excited to play, the most excited to play in Hearthstone, and it continues to be the class that is forced into random and forced into Murlocs, and it's like you finally get like, okay, elementals are coming in Agora, and you finally get that sort of like start of what could be an identity, and you're just like, all right, well, we can go with this, and it's like they just can't seem to let the random go. It's like, okay, well, we're going to give you more decent elementals, but the most powerful spell that we're going to give you in this set, when we're going to give everyone else everyone else powerful sets, and we're going to give you one that can completely just wreck your game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why they haven't learned their lesson with Prince Malchazar and Prince Liam. They should just call this Prince Stormbringer because it's another horrible card that wants to give you random legendaries. Those cards just haven't worked, and Shaman needed something. I'm not a huge Shaman player, but they needed something different so people don't just say, oh, I'm just going to play Shutterwalk because there's nothing better to do. One bad thing for this is you can get Stormbringers off of your Hagathas, and those will be tremendously dead cards in your hand. Yeah, it's Shaman definitely is not in a good spot this set. I do like some of the regular cards, the other cards in here, especially the legendary minion, which we'll talk about in a second. But they really missed the mark with this spell.
Yeah, so let's talk about that legendary minion.
And real quick before we do that, and yes, Man at Arms, I am saying Attack Pinata is bad. Anyways, go ahead.
All right, so Electra Storm Surge. We saw her in the first announcement video. She's a 3-mana, 3/3 battle cry. Your next spell this turn casts twice. So you're looking at things like Lightning Storm being able to be cast twice. There's so many good spells you can combo with this, and it only costing 3 mana. Virsica, what are your thoughts?
Now, as bad as Stormbringer is, Electra Storm Surge is actually that much better. Especially when you take into account something like Voltaic Burst. So let's say that you've got Flame Totem on the board and you throw down Electra on turn 3 with the coin, and you throw down Voltaic Burst, and then you just send those puppies just running. And I think it's going to be fantastic. Like you said, double lightning swords. You've got double lava burst as finishers. It's good. Double healing rains. That's practically a Reno. So I think it's good.
And since we mentioned it, Voltaic Burst is a 1-mana rare spell for Shaman. Summon 2/1/1 sparks with Rush. Overload 1. Now, there's quite a few cards that in this set that summon sparks, some neutrals as well. That all the sparks will be 1/1 with Rush. They're I like some of these cards in this set. I think they balance out the bad that is the spell for the most part. I don't think it makes Shaman really strong, but it gives a lot of really good tools. And Electro Storm Surge is definitely top notch. One of the best legendaries in the set.
Shaman really needed help in the
Yes.
mid game. Like, they really needed help in the mid game. They also needed a little bit of help in the early game. They got a little bit of it with Zap, but I feel like Beaker Lightning kind of helps with that. Elementary Reaction is good, not great. Storm Chaser is good. Thunderhead, which is 4 for a 3/5. After you play a card with Overload, you summon 2 1/1 sparks with Rush. You take into account Voltaic, the spark, the Voltaic Burst, and so now you got 4 1/1 sparks running all over the place. I mean, the bones are there. I just don't know if it's good enough to run with what everybody else got. And I think part of that letdown is not having the legendary spell that everyone else is going to have. So inevitably, Shaman is going to fall short on overall power simply off the fact that everyone else got a legitimate, viable legendary spell and Shaman didn't. Even though I feel like, as far as class legendaries go, they probably got the best minion class legendary. I think that I think it's marred by the Stormbringer.
So with all the early removal and board clears, I mean, Beaker Lightning reminds me a lot of Maelstrom Portal, and its ability to do damage across the board, and all these minions that summon these 1/1 rush minions. Do you think there's any possibility of maybe Thrall, the hero power, the hero card Thrall coming back, since you can load so many low-costed minions on the board, and then maybe go ahead and transform them to another minion that's 2 cost more? Do you
I think more than likely you're going to see. So consider this: you use Volcanic Burst in conjunction with Thunderhead, while Electro Storm Surge is on the table, and you Bloodlust.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously they have rush, not charge, but that's a board clear.
Your ability to control the board is going to be fantastic. And I guess the only card we haven't really talked about that I feel like is worth mentioning. Eureka will see play, but it's random, and you're going to have to really set it up. But Menacing Nimbus, which is 2 mana for a 2/2 Battlecry, add a random elemental to your hand. And once again, that's pulling from neutral elementals and shaman elementals. So
it's random. It's not discover. It's random. So it pulls from all elementals. You can even get Radiant Elemental from Priest, which is really strong.
Yeah, so I feel like the 2 for a 2/2 is something that with like a legitimate ability, I feel like is something Shaman really needed. They needed something in the 2 spot besides Flame Tongue Totem that was something that offered them some type of momentum, something to build on, and I feel like Menacing Nimbus could be really good. I think it will see a lot of play.
See, I want to talk about Omega Mind, because of all the Omega cards, I feel like the Shaman's Omega Mind is one of the better ones. It's 2 mana, 2/3 Battle Cry. If you have 10 mana crystals, your spells have lifesteal this turn. You're looking at it potentially going Electro Storm Surge, Omega Mind, Lightning Storm. It's a Reno ability back to full health.
If you if you play it after turn 10, and I think that's going to be the thing is, can the cards that Shaman got in this set, combined with what's already out there, can Shaman survive to turn 10 in a faster meta? Right now they're doing okay. Shutterwalk Shaman, I feel like, survives to turn 10 quite easily. But I feel like you're adding a lot more pressure with this new set, and you didn't give Shaman any real removal tools outside of Beaker Lightning.
I slightly disagree there because you can count all of your rush sparks as forms of removal as well, especially if the minions they're putting out only have 1 to 3 health. Those rush minions, those small rush minions, can take down those minions to at least get you later in the game
if you draw them. If you draw them early enough.
That's true. Of course, being the cost that they are, you're going to be mulliganing a form against something like aggro. Yeah. I agree with you though. I would like to see more draw tools, in the set. Across the board, really, there's not a lot of draw at all, other than in like Mage. But Shaman definitely didn't get any real draw. They're going to have to rely on a lot of neutral cards.
It once again goes back to Shaman already has the weakest hero power in the game. True. They have the second to weakest Death Knight. Now they have the weakest legendary spell. They have the weakest legendary weapon. It's like at some point you're going to have to get over the fact that Shaman had Thunderbluff Valiant, and you're going to have to give it a legitimate boost in power if you want it to be competitive again, outside of Shutterwalk, which Shutterwalk is, once again, it's a good deck if you know how to pilot it well, but still, ultimately, you have to depend on a little bit of RNG in the end. So.
Yeah, and a lot of people like to give the argument that Shaman at one point was the only playable class in a meta. Yeah, that was 2 years ago. Get over it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to the Warlock. Their legendary spell is the Solarium, which is 1 mana, draw 3 cards at the end of your turn, discard them. Now,
fan-freaking-tastic
personally,
spell.
I feel like this is one of the best legendary spells that they have released in the game.
In my opinion, this spell is the most powerful because of what it does to an already low casting cost tended decks. Yeah, I will even go as far as to say I think this is the second most powerful card in the set, but overall I think it's the best powerful. I think it's the best card out of the new set.
So, will this card? I'm trying to say this with a straight face. Can this card make Quest Warlock a thing? I want it to. I do.
Yeah, I ran into Quest Warlock twice this past week at rank 15, and honestly, I mean, I beat it with Big Spell Mage, but if it had Solarium, I probably couldn't have.
Because what? You turn 1 Quest and turn 2 double Solarium, and the quest is complete, right? How it works?
No, it would have to be. It would be a turn 3 play, but you could get quest done on turn 3.
I mean, it's 5 mana, so you couldn't get it out, but you could have it done by.
Yeah, I mean, you could theoretically have it done by 3 or 4 at the latest, probably. I mean, turn
it's
1
discard...
Quest, turn 2 Solarium, or actually,
I had a guy.
Turn 1 Quest. Now,
turn 2 double Solarium.
Wild, but turn 1 Quest, turn 2 you play Malkazar's
How do you double Solarium? How do you double Solarium?
Oh, that's right. It's a legendary. I forgot. It's legendary. You're right.
Yeah. So the current quest that I saw, Cataclysms on turn 4.
Okay.
And cast the quest on turn 5.
Zeroshio's been playing a lot of MTG Arena. He's used to having 4 copies of
don't tell people that.
Mythic Legends in his deck. Mythic Rares.
Hey,
but yeah, I think
Hearthstone. You're still Bay. Don't worry about it. It's just my side chick.
So Solarium, 1 mana to draw 3 cards is absolutely ridiculous. Best, like I said, second most powerful card in the set, best card in the set.
Yeah, so all right, so that brings us to the Warlock legendary minion, which is Dr. Morrigan. 8 mana, 5/5, Death Rattle. Swap this with a minion from your deck. So, Zeroshio, thoughts?
This card makes my brain hurt. There are so many possible just brain exploding things I could think of with this card that I can't even articulate it right. Obviously, it's a perfect storm. You have to build your decks very, very specifically to optimize this. Some people say you can get multiple Morgans where you got one in your deck, one in your hand. You play it, it dies. They just constantly swap. Obviously, that's barring there's the only minions left in your deck, which that's suboptimal. Also, you could have just some really killer minions like a Malagos that you get her in play. If she dies, Malagos comes into play, and all of a sudden you have tons of spell damage. I think she is definitely going to be in the center of a lot of combo decks for Warlock. I just can't pinpoint it yet, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I think it has tons of potential.
I don't think it will see play at all.
Really?
Yeah. And why I don't is why would you? When you can put your foot on the gas with aggro zoo and you have the Solarium running around, why would you devote the time and resources into developing something around Dr. Morgan? I mean, Solarium alone pretty much outpaces every deck
I like
so far.
I like what Matt at Arms says about if she was a demon, it would
Maybe.
be really good because then she would have way more synergy. But Matt at Arms says he feels like this is them making up for Gul'dan.
I mean, I just at this point,
Meaning Gul'dan was so powerful there.
Right.
Okay.
Gul'dan is the best legendary or the best Death Knight comboed with the best hero power and the best Death Knight hero power. So, I mean, instead of Shaman getting the bad legendary stuff, they really they really should have concentrated on Warlock. But I think Dr. Morgan is a card out of place. Maybe should have saved this concept for a time when the Solarium was not going to be in a meta. But like so far, she's the only card that I've seen that if I pull her out, I'm probably just going to instantly dust her and go for something else.
That's fair. I don't think she's great. I just think somebody's going to figure out a way to break her.
I don't know.
And
not me.
Can we talk about, just for a second, Spirit Bomb?
Yes, now we have to talk about Spirit Bomb, namely because ML Streams, also playfully known in his heyday as Blackarot, a play on Kakarot, Dragon Ball Z, look it up. Spirit Bomb is straight ripped out of there, as of the name. It's a 2-mana spell, a common spell, so it's going to be quite useful in Arena. Deal 4 damage to a minion and your hero. This spell, along with I think there's a neutral card that also damages your hero. They're giving Warlock more self-damaging things to empower their spellstone, and I think that's very smart of them.
It empowers the spellstone.
Yep.
And it gives them a much needed way to clear a minion outside of Soulfire.
Yeah, for two damage, 2 mana for 4 damage is about the only other spell that comes close to it is Hunter Wing Blast, and it has a contingency that a minion has to die that turn.
Well, you look at Shaman, one mana for 3 damage with Lightning Bolt,
Yep.
and you overload 1. You got
Yeah.
Lava Burst, which is 5 damage. You overload for 2, but for 3
Yep.
mana, right? But those
Yep.
can target the face. This only targets a minion and your hero, so 4 damage to yourself. But like you said, it empowers the Spellstone. Heal Zoo doesn't worry about it. This is where this card is going to shine. I mean, Solarium and Spirit Bomb just like took the fire that is Heal Zoo and just like dumped a can of kerosene on it.
Heal Zoo has to choose to clear a big minion in the way or find a way to damage their face to empower their game plan.
I mean,
in this card, you get both.
Yeah, this pushes a Void Walker through a Tar Elemental. Think about that. A Void Walker through a Tar Elemental. You no longer have to silence it. You no longer have to run 3 minions in. This card is ridiculous.
It totally clears a homunculus. It totally clears the Stonehill Sentinel, Stonehill Defender.
Yeah.
The 1/4 that gets you another taunt. This is strong. This is ridiculously strong. You're right, Avanti. This is probably one of the best commons in the set. Definitely one of the best class commons in the set.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to the last class, which is the Warrior, and their legendary spell is the Boom Ship. 9 mana, summon 3 random minions from your hand, and give them rush. So you're talking about being able to summon. So if you again, this is one of those cards that requires setup and planning. But if you get into your hand 3 minions that cost, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana, they all 3 come into play and they all have rush.
Yeah, I think we were talking about this pre-show, myself and Virsica. This, in my opinion, is the most powerful legendary spell in the set. It has the potential to do the most amount of just straight up destruction. And it's 9 mana, but oh my gosh, it's just nuts. I mean, the amount of value you can get. How often do you load up a deck like Wallet Warrior with, huge legendary minions that cost 8 to 10 mana, and then you give them rush? Yeah, this is sick.
Hands down, the most powerful card in the set. Is it the best card in the set? I don't know, but I think Solarium is the best card in the set. This would come in second, but as far as like strict power, I feel like the Boom Ship has the most powerful effect out of any of the cards that I've seen. I mean, think about it. You turn 7 Dr. Boom, you turn 8 Lich King, and then turn 9 you drop Boom Ship and you drop like Rot Face and Swap King Dread and I mean, what else? Alex Straza. Maybe you don't need to put your opponent at 15 or yourself up. So, it's pretty nuts because the battle cries don't go off. You don't have to worry about Swamp King killing all your stuff or to me, this card says you kill my warrior by turn 9 or you die.
Yep.
Now, if they all died at the end of the turn, that would bring the power in line. But I feel like the fact that they get to stay on the board and you gave them rush, I feel like that is crazy.
Yeah, and with the probably, well, I will say this class has definitely the best hero card in the set.
The only hero card in the set, Zeroshio, and that is
But I'm not wrong.
That is their other. For once, you are not wrong. And that is their other legendary, Dr. Boom, Mad Genius. 7 mana, grants 7 armor, has a battle cry. For the rest of the game, your mechs have rush.
Yep.
I really am excited to see what Mech Warrior looks like.
That alone is awesome. And his hero powers, I don't think we have a clip to it, but you get the choice of 5 different hero powers, and they're really strong. Do you have them off the top of your head, Virsica? I think you were rattling them off earlier.
Yeah, so let's talk about the one that I feel like is the most powerful, and that is not only do you get the 7 mana when he comes into play, and think about that. That's or not 7 mana, 7 armor. You get the 7 armor when he comes into play, and when you think about that, all the other Death Knights, all the other hero cards, period, when they come into play, they grant 5 armor, and most of them are more expensive than Doctor Boom. He comes in and grants 7 armor right off the bat. If on the next turn, if you happen to draw Blast Shield, which I feel like is his most powerful ability, you get to tap it and gain another 7 armor. It's ridiculous. Then you get to Zap Cannon, which is deal 3 damage to anything you want. I don't think it says random, so I think you get to aim that one. Then you've got Delivery Drone, which is discover a mech. That one could be pretty powerful. Then you've got something squad, micro squad. I think that's summon 3 mechs, 3/1/1 mechs.
Yeah.
And then you've got Kaboom, which is deals 1 damage to all enemies. And we were talking about this earlier. That's important because it also deals 1 damage to the hero.
Yes.
So it's slightly better than Garrosh's hero power.
Yeah, and it's all enemies, so it doesn't hit your minions either.
Right.
Unlike Garrosh. And I put a link to those abilities in the show notes as well. That
I was going to say you got it. You found it because I was like, I'm struggling with the names. I didn't know if I got all the names right.
Yeah, you do. We have Micro Squad, Zap Cannon, Delivery Drone, Blast Shield, and Kaboom. And it does swap each turn and will not duplicate the same one that it had. So you have a 25% chance to get one of the other 4 every turn. So obviously it's going to be unpredictable, and it's going to be hard to plan around them as a player and as an opposing player. You don't know what they're going to get next. Now, from the way it was shown on the stream, it will change at the end of your turn, so your opponent's going to know what it is on your next turn. So that's one thing that your opponent can then plan for. That's the only thing that kind of downsides this card. But other than that, it's really, really strong hero card. It's probably one of the top tier hero cards in the set. I wonder what's going to happen next year if they do one more hero card at the end of this year. We'll only have 3 hero cards. I'm kind of curious whether they're going to do more. I do like Warrior in the set. They have some really good mechs. Of the class mechs, Paladin got 2. They're saying Paladin, Hunter, and Warrior are supposed to be the mech classes, even though there are lots of neutral mechs. Paladin got 2 mechs, Hunter got 2 mechs, but Warrior got, 4 mechs. So Warrior's kind of being positioned to be the mech class.
Let's talk about Omega Assembly for a minute. It's 1 mana discover a mech, but if you have 10 mana crystals, you just get 3 more mechs.
Yeah.
Yep, you get all 3.
I think of all the classes, Warrior is most likely to consistently make it to 10 mana crystals. So I actually see Omega Assembly getting play. Also, nothing to sneeze at is Beryllium Nullifier, which is magnetic 3/8 for 7, and it can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. That was the last thing we needed to give Warrior, was something that can't be targeted.
Yeah,
and it's got magnetic.
I mean,
one other thing
can't be targeted is one of the hardest abilities in the game to get rid of. Period.
Yep.
Yeah.
And one of the other things to really note here is, of the 4 mechs, 3 of them are odd costed. The spell is odd costed. The new weapon, Super Collider, 5 mana for 1/3. After you attack a minion, force it to attack one of its neighbors, is odd costed. Dr. Boom is odd costed. This goes in and can become an odd warrior. So up until you're ready to do your big late turn bursts, you're armoring up for 4 armor every turn.
Yeah.
And think about that. Crowley, odd costed.
Yep.
The 3/3 Worgen with Rush that I can't think of his name right now, odd costed.
Yes.
Warpath, odd costed. Brawl, odd costed.
And a lot of really strong mechs are odd costed in the new set too. So you can easily make an odd costed mech warrior. Obviously, a lot of those are neutral. We're not going to talk about the neutral cards this week. We do want to have something to talk about next week, as well as because the set will just come out, and we're already running an hour and a half here, and I don't want to run us too long.
Yeah.
But so far, with just seeing the class cards, is there? I know we kind of talked about it briefly in the classes. Is there one class that is the standout class, and one class that is the bottom run class? What do you think, Virsica?
I think Priest is going to take a step back. I would say of all the classes, it got the least amount of legitimate power, and it didn't get anything to help it combat the power gains of the other classes. I think Shaman is probably close behind it. It didn't really get a lot of help. I hope I'm wrong about it, but I think in the end, it's going to be so much about card draw and RNG that it's just not going to be able to find a spot in ladder meta. Now, maybe, possibly in a tournament meta, where you can target ban your opponent and maybe take away one of the matchups. It's not going to be good, but I think it just gets run over. Most powerful classes are the 2 classes I feel like took the biggest step forward. I think Warlock now is officially cemented as the most powerful class in Hearthstone, and I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. I feel like Even Lock is powerful. I feel like Control Lock is powerful. I feel like Heal Zoo was already powerful, but now I feel like with the new cards, I think you're going to struggle to beat Warlock because it's going to be so hard. There's not just going to be one powerful Warlock. There's going to be 2 different ways to prepare for 2 different powerful Warlocks, and I think it's going to wreak havoc.
Yeah.
And then I think Warrior is going to take a massive leap forward, and I think it will probably cement itself as the number 2 class.
What do you think, Avantis?
I agree 100% with that. I feel like Warlock is by far the number 1 class coming out of this. Warrior is number 2. I'd probably put Hunter or Mage at number 3, and then I feel like the bottom of the rung coming out of this, I'm just not happy with what I see coming out of Paladin. Again, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like Paladin is down there with Virsica's Priest and Shaman coming out of this expansion. How about you, Zeroshio?
I would actually put Hunter very, very narrowly edging Warrior in that top spot for most powerful coming out of this set. And the bottom of the rung is Priest, just slightly, ever so slightly worse than Shaman. I think that Druid is going to be one of the most played classes, but it's going to realize that the meta is going to shift enough that it's not going to be able to hold the water against classes like Warrior and Hunter specifically.
Yeah, so real quick before we finish up, Darian Alkaline in chat, he pointed out that I misspoke with Warpath. I meant to say Whirlwind and said Warpath. Warpath is 2 casting costs in Warrior, whereas Whirlwind is 1. I was thinking of the effect, and they both start with W, and it's past Virsica Pumpkin's time.
Easy things to do. So
yeah.
All right. So wrapping up, I do want to remind you guys that as we've done with the last couple of expansions, Mad at Arms has created a spreadsheet. We will tweet out the link to the spreadsheet so that the community can get involved. Basically, every card is listed by class. Go in, vote on your favorite cards, vote on the cards you like the least. Let us know what your thoughts are so we can get a community ranking feel. And we'll go over that next week on the show. We'll talk about the community's favorite cards, community's least favorite cards, and we will tweet that out.
But also, if you're a member of our Patreon community, and if you're not, feel free to go to patreon.com/heropower and join up right away. This is the best time. The direct link to that spreadsheet is in our Discord. It's pinned to the top. We are constantly discussing the cards. We have just about up to the minute cards in our put in our channels, so the players have immediate access to them. I know today I had a very busy day at work, but I took time to take my lunch so that I could screenshot as many cards as I could and get them right up into that channel so that we could have hot discussions on it. Our community is, in my opinion, one of the best communities out there. Very close-knit, tight. We build each other up and we help each other out. You should be part of it.
All right. With all that said, if you have any questions or comments about the show, please email us at heropowerpodcast@gmail.com. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button below on YouTube if you've not done so, or give us a follow on Twitch to be alerted when we go live. For more details about that Patreon Zerosha was just talking about, check out patreon.com/heropower. And we want to say thanks to Virsica. Enjoy your time off, and we'll see you again soon.
And don't forget to use your hero power.